And for more on this, I am joined by our international correspondent, Afua Hagan. Afua, we understand voting commenced around 7 a.m. Just keep us abreast. What's the atmosphere like in the UK with elections underway?
That's right. Voting kicked off at 7 a.m. this morning. Polls are closing in under 4 hours, about 3.5 hours from now. The polls will close at 10 p.m. At the polling station that I am at in East London, it has been a really busy day. Lots of people going in and out. And when I've been out and about speaking to people this week, there has been a little bit of an air of voter apathy. But at the same time, lots of people talking about change and wanting change and needing change. And so people that I've seen at polling stations today who have been out and voting, that has been what they have been voting for a change. From the people I have spoken to, it looks like those predictions could be true, and we will see that Labour, perhaps that supermajority, this time tomorrow.
I mean, from talks we've seen around and reports we've seen, it seems that people are a lot more endeared to the Labour Party. What's working in favour of the Labour Party candidate, Keir Starmer?
You're right in saying lots of people are much more endeared to the Labour Party. When it comes to Sir Keir Starmer, he is seen in a somewhat a safe pair of hands. But on the other hand, he's also been described as being a bit boring and has run a boring Labour election campaign over this past 6 weeks. But like I said, people just want something different, right? They want something different from the Conservatives, from Boris Johnson, from Liz Truss, from Rishi Sunak, our current Prime Minister. And Sir Keir Starmer is the most viable alternative. Now, a lot of people have also been saying that he is perhaps the best of a bad bunch, the same kind of lines that we're getting about the US election later on this year. But Sir Keir Starmer isn't necessarily their first pick, but he's a better option than the current government than people have right now. And that is to his benefit. That is what's going in his favour, that he isn't Rishi Sunak.
Well, with Keir Starmer being the new bride, I mean, his stance on the war in Gaza and also his support for Israel, has it hurt his image? And even as Britons may be ready to move on from the current government after over a decade in power, what do you make of his perspective or how people perceive him regarding the war in Gaza?
Absolutely. Keir Starmer's, or Sir Keir Starmer, as I should address him to give him his proper title, his stance on the Israel-Gaza war is one that is not typical to the Labour Party. Now, the Labour Party have been accused of anti-Semitism in the past, so he has made sure that that has not happened. When it comes to the Israel-Gaza war, he's been quite strong in his support for Israel, and not so strong in his support for Palestine and the Palestinian people, and that has been disappointing for a lot of people. For a lot of people who see the Labour Party as traditionally on the left of politics and traditionally socialist, and therefore would support Palestine and would support the Palestinian people and their right to have a state. Now, his support for Israel and the Israel-Gaza war, I think, definitely has hurt his reputation, and it will cost him votes in this election. It doesn't mean that the Labour Party won't win. I'm absolutely sure that they will, but perhaps that majority would have been bigger, could have been bigger, had he taken a different stance over the Israel-Gaza war.
Now, let's talk about the manifesto, for the Labour Party. I mean, will Keir Starmer's manifesto lead the UK to a better economy, reversing 15 years of regression and also stagnant income growth? What do you make of that, Afua?
That's what everybody wants, right? Everybody wants a Labour Party that's going to bring about change. But when you look at the Conservative Party and the Labour Party manifestos, to be honest, there's not too much in them. When you look at the major issues like immigration, for instance, the Conservative Party, who are in government at the moment, have that policy of sending asylum seekers to Rwanda. The Labour Party will not support that policy, do not support that policy, and will not have that policy in place. When it comes to the National Health Service, you have a Labour Party who are willing to sit down with doctors and nurses and doctors who have been on strike and have been on strike quite recently here in the UK to talk to them about their pay demands, something that the Conservative government wasn't open to doing. We could see those talks happen as early as tomorrow or even Monday. when it comes to the cost of living crisis as well, that's a huge thing. Now, the Conservative government have insisted repeatedly that the Labour Party and a Labour government will raise taxes. Now, the Labour Party haven't denied this. It could be something that we see happening, but they have promised to turbo boost the economy. Now, how exactly they're going to do that, we haven't been privy to those details quite yet, but it's something that everybody hopes for. The cost of living crisis has been a huge issue for voters as they've gone to the ballot box. There's not one person in the UK that hasn't been affected by that. So that is something that's at the top of people's minds and something that the Labour Party will have to get hold of in their first 100 days in Parliament.
Well, we understand polls would end, voting would come to a close at 10 p.m. Fingers crossed, we'll see how things pan out and who eventually becomes the winner. Thank you so much, Afua Hagan, our international correspondent, for your insight on this.